So welcome to the Energy Waves for January 2023, which we have a mixture because we get the water rabbit arriving on the 22nd of January. So I've sneaked the little chap into the picture. So let's look at, first of all, the three main themes that seem to be going on this month. The first one is invitations and acceptance. The second one is distance and defense versus connection and community. And the third one is familiar to you from last month, and it's the Tired Revolution Continues, and you'll see why I'm going to be describing that. So if you're not familiar with my work around the Chinese zodiac, I'll link a video above or below this video, which gives you a kind of 4-minute summary of how it works, but I'm sure you've got this by now. So let's look at the first of the three main themes, invitations and acceptance. So what we have going on here is we've got this energetic phase of the year. We're in obviously a water energy year, going to another water energy year, but we're at the end of a Chinese year and the beginning of a Chinese year is starting. So we've got an ending and a beginning happening at the same time. And it's a little bit more extreme because it's like really ending and really about to begin. So in that kind of water energy phase, what we have in a similar way to winter, we have the remnants of the previous year, the previous season is there, and yet the beginning, the buds, something new beginning as well. So we've got a kind of an ending and beginning with this kind of water energy. And I put that down as we're being in a way invited to do new things, where there's an invitation to start afresh. It's the beginning of the new year, but also it's the beginning of a new phase. So there is an invitation to start afresh, to do things in a certain way out there. And there's also an opportunity, which we'll kind of look at later, for us to accept it or not accept the invitation. There's also we're also inviting the universe to give us certain things. I would like this. So we're setting intentions, we're setting words we might choose, and we're inviting the universe to say, this is what I'm intending, this is what I would like. I'm inviting you to give that to me, but they're involved within that is some aspect around acceptance. So it's like the giving and the receiving. So there's an energy that's around there that I just want you to be aware of. And when we look at the actions, we'll see how that kind of fits in. The second theme that we're going to be running through is this one of, in a way, two paradigms of distance and defense versus connection and community. And what we're really looking at here is we're looking at a mixture between two energies, 2 years coming in, plus a bit of metal energy. So tigers, by their very nature, they are solitary, whereas rabbits are kind of community orientated. Tigers don't tend to. Rabbits are all about connections and community, whereas tigers tend to be a little bit more solitary. They both can defend their position, but a rabbit would prefer to nip away and hide. That although it can defend very well, it will do it as a secondary thing, whereas a tiger is more defensive. We've also got this distance, this kind of metal energy. We had these 2 metal energy years, and that in a way is fading away. We've still got a metal energy block of time, but those 2 metal energy years, when there was all that distance, isolation, separation, disconnection, that is kind of fading away. So we're seeing both the distance and the strong defense of our positions giving way to a sense of connection and community. It's a much softer, it's a softer energy. So we're seeing those 2 things going on. So it can be quite confusing for us. We can think, okay, seeing people that are stuck in a way in an old paradigm trying to defend a position, and you might still be thinking, actually, I'm still feeling disconnected or distant, but yet there's a push for me to connect and be part of this world. I'm not sure I'm ready for that, because so it is a bit like these kind of 2 waves are coming in and out. And in this particular month, particularly January, there's a little bit of a turmoil and a muddle as those 2 energies the distance and defense energy and the connection community energy try to battle for supremacy. Ultimately, the connection community becomes stronger, but at this moment in time, there's an old and the new continuing to battle it out. And ultimately, what we're being asked to do, even though we're in a water energy year, we're being asked to connect. We're being asked to kind of open our hearts. We're being asked to express love. We're asked to do more loving things. Whereas before, it was last year, the water tiger was more about our authority, power, who has power, etc. They still had other things going on. So we're being asked to connect with our community, and bearing in mind there's history in this, but we're being asked to do that. And the secret to it really is kind of open our hearts, love, etc. So the third final theme is a continuation of the kind of tired revolution. And just to remind you, this isn't a revolution that you can have anger going on, but it's based around, I'm just tired. Remember, water energy, this whole water energy year has been asking us questions around what's my reserves, what's my resources, how can I keep going, is it sustainable? So there's been questions about our internal and external resources, and as a result of there's tiredness. If you didn't do any throwing away in those 2 metal energy years, you're carrying a lot of extra things around, and that can make us tired. So we've got a lot of history, and there is this tired revolution. We're seeing it in the UK with the nurses striking ambulance, striking the postal workers, the train workers. People are just kind of fundamentally tired. We saw that happening last month in China, and they recognized, very worried about revolution in China, so they dramatically changed their COVID policy, and we're seeing the consequence of that. And we're also seeing much longer things playing out with this kind of tired revolution. We're saying, look, we are really tired of this inequality. We're tired of the racial. It's just like enough is enough. And we're kind of reaching that stage, and enough is enough about the planet. So we're seeing revolution happening. Now, remember, the revolution doesn't have to be quiet. It can be very loud. So although people are tired, they can be very angry, and they can be very vocal, but it's coming from, I am tired of this. There is enough of this. We're talking about people feeling broken and disgusted and fed up and just tired of it. And that's different than a revolution that's coming from, actually, we're looking to have something new. We just want something new. We want something new because we're really tired of the way things are. And one of the things I think we'll really have to look out for is leaders can really be misjudging, thinking the tired revolution, people will put up with it because they always put up with it. They won't, no, we'll just pander to them, give a little bit of a this and that, and then they'll be okay. Not recognizing that the tired revolution is actually people have snapped, broken, etc., and passing people off with a slight handout or a slight tweak here or there within social policy or equality, or is not going to be good enough. People want fundamental change because they're tired. So what are the action steps? How would I suggest that we collectively handle this month, and kind of rolling forward very slightly? Fundamentally, kind of water energy is about teaching, as I said, it's about teaching us to rest, restore. Water energy is also about reflection. So we're still in a water energy year. So there is a push to get us to recognize, what are my resources? What are my boundaries? How do I stop people taking my energy? Am I doing too much? Have I let go of things? Am I wanting? There's still questions and explorations around that. But I think it's slightly more, you need to be slightly more aware of it. I've said rest and restore, reflect throughout the whole of 2022, but I'm saying it more firmly, kindly and firmly, that I think you should really make sure in January you really rest, you reflect on things, you kind of restore your energy, because when the tigers kind of plod around. Rabbits are busy, and it's a slightly more spring energy. It's slightly more frenetic. So when we hit kind of March and the kind of rabbit stuff, it's busier. We're going to suddenly hit from being really quiet and slow. 2022 was quite hard because it was that quite a steady energy, but it was quite slogging. Whereas rabbit, it's all going to change quite quickly, and it will go, oh my goodness, how did that suddenly happen? So it's going to get busy very quickly. So if you go into a busy phase when you're already tired, then that has consequences, which is what water energy is about. It's about consequences. Now, can you rest and restore in a rabbit year? Yeah, rabbits are great at that. They can do that. But particularly the beginning part of the year, it will go woof. So just make sure you have a bit in your reserves, reflect a little bit on what you want to let go of, what matters to you, what's important, what you're inviting the world to give you, etc. Just a bit of reflection. Got some help with that, with the water energy, but just don't go into February, March, April. Don't go into that on your knees tired. Just try and get some energy back, and we can obviously look at that and support you with that. So your second action step is be willing to accept. Now, it might be being willing to accept. You say, Ashley, I really want this in my life, but we have to be kind of say, well, yeah, I want that. Be willing to accept it, or be kind of willing to accept that you're awesome, you're brilliant, you're funny, you're this, you're that, you're powerful, you've done great things. Just be willing to accept anything that is you recognize about yourself. Be willing to accept that you will be heading on a new path. This is 2023 is a year when we're kind of head off out from a very inward set of years, introspection, isolation, letting go, to being pushed to heal a bit, heal in that tiger year, to work out who has power over us, who doesn't have power over us, all that authority stuff, recognizing perhaps what your power is, etc. And now we're saying, okay, now what are you going to do with it? So be willing to almost accept the challenge. We're willing to accept the journey and the things that you've kind of created for, and be willing to accept that actually there is power in you and your experience, and that will be coming through. But you have to a certain extent, accept it and not let old patterns play. Oh, I'm not good enough. I can't do this. There's limitation. Some of the experience were meant to help you let go of this, and the continuation through 2023 will be helping you to continue to kind of let go of this. So be willing to accept your power, your brilliance, your new journey, but also be willing to accept. And I know this can be tough because there is a lot of endings at the moment, a lot of things finishing, relationships, situations, scenarios, the way things were. So on some level, we've got to be willing to accept that there is something new happening and it's building up more and more. And we've got to accept a letting go. And I appreciate that. That can be hard. But the willing to accept the letting go is really tempered by your ability to embrace what's new. If you have nothing, if you're letting go and you get nothing, it's a raw deal. Whereas if you can embrace something new, so we have 21st of February, energetic superpowers and heroic actions for you there. And again, that's stepping into your superpowers, your heroic actions, and it's got lots of stuff in there. And obviously a part of this vital life, you'll get crazy discounts on that one. 3 action steps. Third action step: look for healing and resolution. Now, to a certain extent, that fits with the being willing to accept. So we do need to kind of look for healing, resolution, trying to resolve things, recognizing that there's been lots of trauma. And in a way, you could say, okay, well, the water tiger year maybe just kind of showed you what you needed to do. Some people did it, and some people were able to. Some people, the previous experiences brought up lots of past, really deep past historical trauma, which is what water energy does. Stuff comes up from the bottom. But with the rabbit energy coming in, we still got that water energy reflection, and the healing to do, but it's less of a solitary existence and experience. It's easier to connect. So look out for healing and resolution, because it will be slightly easier to eat. It will be easier to do. And if the tiger just identified it for you and said, okay, this is taking away your power. Do you want this power? Don't you want this power? Whereas the rabbit is okay, it's connecting and community could be the connection and community with yourself. Finally, having a deep connection and love for yourself, creating a community between the different parts of you that coexist together, the different parts that want different things. So we've got to move towards connection and community, and that's part of our healing. But look out for healing and resolution, because it's nearer than you think, and recognize that this has been a tough few years. Of course, 5-day mindset makeover for you, and then starting in January, which we're working on the kind of big conversation where we're going to look at the impact imprints of COVID, what went on, etc. And you'll be getting an invitation for that. And then, of course, we've got the Water Rabbit Masterclass, which is on Sunday, 22nd of January from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. As part of this Vital Life, you get just completely free access to that. And we're going to be exploring these themes in different ways and giving you different ways to kind of move through that. And then, of course, this month and going forward, we've got this Vital Life, which is, and if you want more healing resolution, you want more stuff, then just ask. We'll do absolutely anything you need. I have a bit of a program, but I'm very flexible. You say, I'd like more of this, then you have it, because I love you. Okay, so that's the energy waves for January 2023. I'm going to stop recording now, and then we can have some questions.